Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about nerd news that you might have missed over the past week, or you might have heard but want to hear a little bit more detail about, or just want to hear us talk about stuff. That could be the case. That's fine too. Whatever boats your float. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor in chief of Nerd Caliber, first person shooter on Facebook as a cosplay photographer, Burley_adopter on Twitter as a tech journalist, and a couple of other places as well. Joining me tonight is my doppelganger, sort of.
Sure. Close
Greg,
enough.
if you would introduce yourself.
I even put on the requisite polo shirt, the summer weight
I
polo shirt
think I've got a
in
gray one
my
somewhere. Damn it. You should have told me.
in my guise as Rodfather 2.0. Hi everybody, Greg Snyder, aka Wonder Llama Photography, and occasionally these days Wonder Llama Cosplay. You can find me on Facebook. If you search for Wonder Llama, you're probably going to find me. Facebook, Instagram, a little bit of Twitter. Twitter just gets too annoying to do for much time for very long. um, but I'm psyched to be here. We got all sorts of interesting stuff going on. We've got a ton of great topics tonight. Hopefully, we got some cool people in our chats, and I got nothing to plug, so let's barrel on.
There you go. I got to tell you, you missed some wonderful Jeff Bezos commentary this morning on Twitter. So, you're missing out. Um, Creeper King, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. Greetings, Earthlings and other beings. I'm pretty sure I'm an Earthling.
You're an Earthling. I'm another being.
There you go. And the Eldritch God Greg says, so anyway, we're going to jump right into things, folks. There is a bunch of really interesting topics. A lot of this stuff, for some reason, this was single source and or rumor week. So, lots of grains of salt there, folks. You're going to want to be taking your high blood pressure pills after this show. First up is a single source story. And that is that the young lady in the lower right of that image on your screen right now from the movie Bird Box, Vivian Lyra, I was going to call her Lyra Bird, and that's not right, obviously. Lyra Blair, Vivian Lyra Blair, for some reason I'm getting tongue-tied on that, has been cast as the young Princess Leia in the upcoming Kenobi series. So first off, this is a single source from a website called Cinelinx. It isn't, a we got this covered as far as I can tell. They seem to have a pretty good reputation. It was passed around by a couple of, film geek types that I generally trust. But it is a single source, and they haven't even confirmed that there will be a character Leia in the series. So, take that, for what it's worth. As I recall, she was pretty solid for a young actress. A lot of reaction shots of, mommy, why can't I look at stuff or whatever? But, so
Wow. So just out of idle curiosity, I jumped on IMDb to see if it had been updated yet, because while that's also not a 100% guarantee, it's usually a pretty good indicator. I'm sure we covered this before and I just forgot about it, but Camille Najani
Yep.
is cast in all 6 episodes, and Indira Varma is in at least one episode.
Yep. Yeah, I
So we've
remember
got
putting
some,
that in there as a huge Indira Varma fan.
yeah, ditto. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, so it does have a great cast. Sung Kang from F9 and what was the one he died in? And a couple of other Fast and Furious movies is also in it. So, that's pretty cool. It's got a great cast. And of course, there's that, Hayden Christensen dude. Um, who knows? At this point, he's in the armor. So you can do all sorts of wonderful things with voice modulation. Just saying.
I mean, hopefully he's had a chance to take some acting lessons in the intervening decades, and George Lucas isn't writing or directing. So hopefully whoever is doing those things is better able to direct him in a way that doesn't seem so wooden and what's the word? Awful. That's the word. Um,
That's
uh,
mean. Accurate.
yeah, it's
Accurate.
mean and accurate. I mean, I think the only true gauge on that is whether any of his scenes turn into memes for the ages,
Yeah.
because several of his scenes are, a day doesn't go by that I'm on social media somewhere and someone doesn't have some variation on Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman in the field of wildflowers.
That's a
There's so much you can do with it.
that's a good one. The I hate sand,
I
always a
hate
classic.
sand.
Yeah, so there's that. Again, it's a single source, hasn't been confirmed by anybody else, although this single source says multiple of its sources have confirmed this, information. So, no, take it for what you will. I think it would be interesting to see because there's been supposedly no connection between Leia that we know of between since him dropping her off as a brand new infant, and actually there isn't any real connection at the end because he actually never sees her. I guess he sees her get on the ship, um, but so we don't know. But then again, there's been so much time in between. Who knows? It could very well have been him mentoring her for a while or something. But speaking of, well, I guess this is another sort of single source. Oh, this one comes from Hollywood Reporter, which is generally a little bit more solidly reliable, or at least more people have trusted it. Creeper King, shots fired. Yeah, well, Luminous, welcome to the show. Hello, all. At least Jar Jar is not returning, as far as we know. Luminous.
Please.
And fingers crossed that you were correct.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about Jar Jar. Up on your screen is, of course, one of the few shots already from the Game of Thrones spin-off House of the Dragon. And we're not necessarily talking about House of the Dragon, but we are talking about spin-offs. And the news is, according to Hollywood Reporter, there are possibly as much as 2 additional animated spin-off series coming about Game of Thrones. One of which, of course, coming to HBO Max, one of which apparently is supposed to be set in the Golden Empire of Yi Ti.
On ET.
Phone home. That would be awesome. I mean, I would love the idea of seeing how, to whatever extent Martin is involved in this, if it happens, how his interpretation of a Imperial China inspired culture, like Westeros is inspired clearly by Western Europe and primarily, the British Isles. I'd love to see how that happens, how that plays out. There's certainly so many references and teases to it, but there's almost no real information about it. Even in the what was it, the Atlas or the Compendium of the World book that he put out.
I mean, we've got a few of these questionable, hopeful, maybe type stories this evening. I love it conceptually. I love it on paper. I'm also a big fan of world buildings, much like Rodney. This is a literal corner of the Song of Ice and Fire that's mentioned but not really explored. So if you're taking sort of that medieval or I don't know what era specifically, some pre-Renaissance era China as your kind of template, it's fascinating. There's a whole lot of interesting stuff you could do. I in particular would love to see Chinese, Japanese, Korean style dragons, as opposed to more traditional Western, dragon imagery. I think that'd be absolutely fascinating. Although generally not always, but generally, Eastern dragons are more. They're less warrior. They're less warlike. They're not. I have a harder time seeing, seeing some analog of Daenerys riding, Mushu into battle.
Yeah,
Or
they're wise and always sort of just above the fray.
exactly.
Much less emotional than many other portrayals of dragons. So um, even if it's not about the dragons, even if it's just exploration of the sailing culture of Yeti or whatever, or the
Right.
magic, or all of the above, I think that would be awesome. One of the things that also was in this article, which they just sort of snuck in, and I don't know that we ever talked about it. So apparently, the live action spinoff Flea Bottom is toast. That it is not going forward. The one that was supposed to be set in the slums of King's Landing, Flea Bottom, and that's kind of too bad because I would really love to see, a really gritty, you know, medieval type story like that.
How the other half lives,
Yeah,
or how the other 98% lives.
or how the other 98% often dies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus, I mean, let's be honest, that particular setting, there'd be even more boobs than usual for Game of Thrones.
that is true. I'm not saying that that's a downside, but that is true. Um,
Uh, yeah, I vaguely remember reading something about this a while ago and thinking the same sort of thing. It's a fascinating potential setting. They use the slums of King's Landing here and there for color, for what was his name, the Smith who was Baratheon's bastard. Um, his
Gendry.
name Gendry, thank you. Um, stuff like that. It was always seeing how the other half lives. So setting something in there, I mean, like anything, the devil's in the details. But it would have been an interesting setting if nothing else.
Yeah.
But based on what they're talking about for the animation projects, and they're literally just described as projects at this point, meaning there's probably a spec script. They're probably tossing the idea around, seeing if it gets traction. I doubt there's a bunch of people with, Spark workstations already cranking away on CGI. Um, yeah, I mean, of all of the stuff, that one to me is the easiest one to say farewell, because the idea of something set in ET, it's hard to say that without it sounding like ET. I'll try not to elide that. Yeah, I would rather see that personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see that. They're also talking about, some of the other series that have been proposed. 10,000 Ships, the story of Nymeria, the warrior queen that was
She founded Dorne,
yeah,
the House Martell.
yep. But I'm trying to think of I can't believe I just literally lost her name. Knife drop.
Diana Rigg.
No, no, no. The youngest of the Starks, Arya. That
Arya.
was Arya's favorite character from her history books.
Wasn't that
Also,
also her direwolf name?
yes, that she named her direwolf after. And there was 9 voyages as follows: Valerian, which was supposed to be coming from the creator of the awesome HBO series Rome. But who knows?
Show.
Yeah, that's a great, great show. Talk about lots of boobs too. Um, but anyway, so we don't know whether how far along any of this will go. Fingers crossed that some of it, particularly the Yeti one, does actually make it. And our next topic, we're still sticking with the, hey, let's throw this stuff at the wall and see what sticks. That is the cast shot that we've used a bunch of times from the Wheel of Time series. That is, of course, coming up on Amazon. The news is that there are movies being made, apparently 3 of them, and it doesn't say whether that's a trilogy, but they're all 3 set in the same time period, so maybe, that are going to be prequels to the Wheel of Time series. set in the Age of Legends, and apparently that's the title of at least one of the movies. Um, Before the big magical force breakup, the breaking, in fact, I guess is what they call it, that created the world of the Wheel of Time happened. Um, and how many thousands of years? Millennia. So
Millennia.
a few.
Qu- Quite a while.
Yeah. Um, the last thing that we heard that was supposed to be set a few thousand years before something we really liked was, one of the Game of Thrones spin-offs, and it was one of the first things that was killed. So who knows whether or not any of these movies will ever actually happen.
And also from Amazon Studios, The Lord of the Rings, well, it's called the Middle Earth Second Age series that's coming out. And that's not going to get killed off because they spent way too much money on it already. Yeah, I groaned when I saw this. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know. I mean, there's a big audience for Wheel of Time. It was a huge series. There's a huge fan base. I don't think it's as rabid as Game of Thrones. It's certainly not as rabid as Tolkien. Um, I worry that this kind of stuff, kind of swords and sandals, swords and sorcery, high fantasy, is going to start getting a little saturated the way superhero stuff is getting saturated and Star Wars stuff
Yep.
is getting saturated. Um, I mean, it's a vast, sprawling book series. I gave up after I think I had to get a third new reading glasses prescription from all of the tiny, tiny words. Like the fifth book, I was just like, dude, come on. You're just churning out books. I mean, doorstops at this point. Um, I don't know how you make that into a coherent, watchable narrative in the first place, but it doesn't strike me that this has got the traction for three movies. I
Yep.
mean, movies are completely different, completely different ball game with theatrical releases. I mean, Amazon is behind it, so presumably it'll be on Amazon Video the same time, shortly after. But that's an awful lot for a series that hasn't been, the first season hasn't been shot yet. They haven't seen any audience reaction. Um,
Yeah, I guarantee that if Wheel of Time the series is not a monster hit, Wheel of Time the prequel movies, this will
yeah.
be about the last you hear of them until somebody officially says, "Oh yeah, they're not happening." Uh,
Yep.
No, and I don't wish that. I'm just saying, realistically, it's all about money.
Yep.
So now something that is going to happen, mainly because it's already kind of happened. The studio Laika is having its 15th anniversary, and in conjunction with Fathom Events, which loves to do things at theaters, it is bringing back theater releases of Coraline, which is up on your screen right now, and Paranorman. So I'm going to let Greg just gush.
Any regular viewers know I'm a huge fan of pretty much anything like Kubo and the Two Strings got me right in the feels and kind of never let go. But Coraline is, I think, still, it doesn't have the gushy emotional heart that Kubo did, but damn, is it good. It's creepy in all the best possible ways.
Oh yeah.
The voice cast is absolutely spectacular. The animation is unbelievable. Harry Selick, who did Nightmare Before Christmas, directed and was behind a lot of the animation. I mean, obviously, it's been out for a long time. It's been on streaming and video, so chances are good an awful lot of people have seen it. But I'm trying to remember if I ever saw it in the theater. I may not have. So thank you to Rodney for being the first person who posted this that I saw. I literally bought tickets the day they went on sale.
You know
And
what?
we'll probably see
didn't.
Paranorman as well, because while I didn't, it's not quite, it's like you got Toy Story and Pixar, and then you've got like the second tier stuff, but they're also really good. that's kind of Laika's tier 2 stuff.
I did not realize that Terry Hatcher and Ian McShane are two of the voices in Coraline.
Indeed, they are.
That's awesome.
Yep, Terry is. Excuse me. That's some strong water.
Yeah.
Terry is the other mother.
Yeah.
Actually, both mothers. And Ian McShane plays the Russian ringmaster, and he. I mean, I don't know if you can you say someone doing voiceover choose the scenery? Because Ian McShane is what is he from Manchester? He's a Northern Englander, or is he Irish? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Suffice to say, he's not Russian, but he does the broadest Russian accent imaginable. But he's got that deep, rumbling baritone.
Hopefully, better than Ray Winstone in Black Widow.
Yeah,
it's not a knock on his performance. I loved Ray Winstone, but
right,
boy, that accent.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, if by any chance you haven't seen either of these, Paranorman is a great Halloween kind of movie. It's kid who sees ghosts and has to diffuse a ghost infestation. It's clever, it's fun, it's entertaining. Again, to me, it doesn't quite hit the same high notes that a couple of Laika movies do, but it's still a damn good movie.
So your dates here, folks, are August 24th for Coraline. Tickets are available now. November 16th for Paranorman, and those tickets will go on sale August 13th if you're interested.
So not to go down a total rabbit hole, so I'll be real quick here, but because I went to the Fathom Events website to get ticket information, they reminded me very helpfully that Ghibli Fest is returning to theaters this fall. So Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, and Castle in the Sky. I know for a fact all four of those spread out like month by month. So kudos to Fathom for knowing what their audience likes and finding ways to get these classics re-released into the theater. So we've had a long track record, my wife and I and some close friends of ours. I'm sure we'll catch at least two of those.
I guess Fathom does. They do what they do very well. I'll give them that.
Yep.
So our next piece of news is the fact that the CW Batwoman series is finally getting its Renee Montoya, who is a hugely important character in the Batwoman franchise. And playing Renee Montoya, we've got pictures already of Victoria Cartagena as Renee Montoya because she played the character in Gotham. They cast the same actress. She did a fine job, and apparently a really good job. And, I guess Berlanti figured why not. Although they have confirmed that these are not connected universes in any way whatsoever. So this actress, Victoria Cartagena, is going to get a chance to play Renee Montoya once again in the upcoming season of Batwoman. So good for her. Good for them finally bringing Montoya onto the scene. How much she is going to be like her character in the Batwoman series, because Batwoman, the CW series, is not Katie Kane anymore, or Kate Kane. It is Ryan Wilder is the character's name. And so whether or not that means Montoya and the alter ego of Batwoman become lovers or not, it's going to be up in the air, I guess. But it's nice, easy casting.
Yeah. She probably already has the suit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Johnny Bravo of casting.
Yes. Good for her. Looking forward to it. I have to say, I have not seen the second season of Batwoman yet. I was not impressed with the first season, and it didn't have anything whatsoever to do with Ruby Rose. It was the writing. It was kind of Supergirl level Berlanti. and I just can't take that anymore. So
Fair.
um, so I'll give it a try. I'll give season 2 a try before season 3 comes out, just to see whether or not they've improved the writing. But if they haven't, doesn't matter who's in that suit. In my opinion, of course, folks, your mileage may vary. Another bit of news. This is actually confirmed news, like the last one was. So we're out of rumor territory. We're into news territory, starting with the Coraline stuff. The movie Blade, the upcoming Marvel MCU movie Blade, has landed. Well, I guess this isn't confirmed. Yeah, so never mind. I should have put this back in the other stuff. Probably has landed, because this comes from Deadline, and they get this stuff right all the time. Its director, Bassam Tariq, who directed a movie starring Riz Ahmed, Mogul Mowgli, which I've not even heard of.
That. No.
But Marvel has a pretty good track record with, picking relatively little-known directors who have not particularly deep resumes, and they usually turn out excellent stuff. At the very least, they turn out okay stuff or good stuff. Like, the directing team behind Captain Marvel were indie darlings. They should have stayed indie darlings. They did an okay job with the material.
I mean, after a fashion, the Russo brothers were quirky TV guys before they did Avengers.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could go all the way back to the Russo brothers. You can go all the way forward to Ryan Coogler with Black Panther.
Yeah.
They do a good job picking these people usually.
So here,
Chloe Zhao.
Yeah.
Prior to Nomadland, she was like a 1 or 2 movie indie darling. And then suddenly she's the hottest thing in the world.
Thank goodness. So what is not rumored? This is definitely confirmed. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige will be producing. I know it comes as a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. Couldn't have seen that coming, but
Nope.
yes, he's signed on to EP or produce or whatever it is he does.
And we'll get to some interesting production director stuff later on. So stay tuned in relation to Feige and MCU and so on. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to I love anything Mahershala Ali does. And, Mahershala Ali as, Blade, I cannot wait. Even if he's given a terrible script, he's going to be fantastic.
Yep.
And so I'm looking forward to whatever they come out with this. And I haven't seen anything, like I said, of Bassam Tariq's work. I might try to dig it up now. I like Riz Ahmed based on the few things that I've seen him in. Rogue One, not the least. But, no idea really what his work is like.
It's interesting. Now I'm looking through that article again a little bit
It's
more.
really, I didn't move over so that's of course Mahershala Ali, and that next to him in this composite image from Deadline, thank you for letting me rip it off, is Bassam Tariq.
Yeah, I mean, Roddy, to your point, I guess I just gave, I'm obviously making a joke about Kevin Feige, but he has said he really wants to try and diversify or bring a lot of diversity into the Marvel arm of Disney on both sides of the camera. And, this is a great instance of him, putting Disney's money where his mouth is. You have Ryan Coogler, Chloe Zhao, Taika Waititi, Nia DaCosta, several folks that someone else at the helm might not have been given a chance, and have proven to be, for the most part, have definitely proven their worth.
Yep. So I am at a loss right now, or I'm sort of at a crossroads of trying to decide whether it's going to appear too insensitive to say that I had completely forgotten that in the intro I was going to wish all of our Muslim friends Eid Mubarak, and is only reminded now because I'm reading a story about a man with a Middle Eastern sounding name. But at the risk of not remembering it at the end of the show, Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim friends.
Yeah.
Moving on, so we got a couple of trailer reactions in this show, and this is hands down the most adorable one. If you haven't seen the trailer that dropped for the next Pixar movie, Turning Red, which is the story of a Asian American girl who, when she gets really, really, really stressed, turns into a gigantic red panda. Go watch it. It's funny. It's also just absolutely adorable. Might skew a little young for most of our watchers. A lot of you out there have kids, and frankly, I'd watch it. So
Yeah. It strikes me as something that was probably an idea for a short that somebody really liked, and they turned it into feature length. It reminded me just a little bit because some of the character design and characters obviously are fairly similar to Bao. Hopefully you've seen that short. It's one of the all-time great animated shorts from any studio.
So before you go too much further, that is because this comes from director and writer Domi Shi, who made Bao.
There you go.
So.
Makes perfect sense. I forgot to look through the. Yep, there we go. Yeah, it's super cute. I mean, much like Rodney, I from looking at it, it seems like it may be a somewhat cliched coming of age dealing with, tiger moms kind of story, but even a tier 2 Pixar movie is better than a lot of stuff that you could watch. And now, especially knowing that this was done by the person who brought by Domi Shi, who gave us Bao, that's all the endorsement I need. If you haven't seen that short, I obviously highly recommend it. It's 5-6 minutes, 7 minutes tops.
Yeah.
It's basically no dialogue. It's kind of, in a sense, similar to the first half of WALL-E, where the story is just told through characters interacting just with they vocalize without using words.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to put it. And it will punch you right in the gut.
Yeah.
It's that powerful.
And to say vocalize without using words, they don't. It's not like The Sims where they invent a blah, blah, blah language. It's just that no words are actually spoken. There are occasional, grunts, stuff like that. By the way, that short won an Oscar. So, you know what just occurred to me? I don't, even watching the trailer or so on, just the description between where, Mei Li, the main character, is described as a 13-year-old, and then me saying the words red panda. I'm guessing this is also going to be a not very subtle metaphor about female puberty.
Ooh.
So,
wow.
Turning into what apparently, frightening, angry, red creature. So, no.
Or it could just be because red pandas are super cute.
And they are super cute. And this thing, even, it's this, it's 12 feet tall, but it's super cute.
So very little casting announced so far. The young woman who plays, Mei Li, is Rosalie Chang. 3 credits, so not much to go on there. But Mei Li's mother is voiced by Sandra Oh, who, I mean, what else are you going to say? She's fantastic in pretty much everything she does.
Most recently, for many of you, possibly Invincible. So, it looks great. It certainly sounds great. Mei Li, the voice actress Rosalie Chang, seems to nail it. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's fun. It's March 11th, 2022. So we got a little while to go. Next reaction to a trailer, and as opposite of the tone of turning red as you can possibly get, although boy, there's a lot of turning red, is season 3 of the Titans, and yep, that is Red Hood. It's in the trailer, folks. It's in the announcements. It's not a spoiler. And it continues the Titans theme of how many F-bombs can we drop in a series about teen superheroes. And, gritty, leg-breaking, back-breaking, often killing level violence by the Titans. And if you like that, you like that. There are some things about it that I really love. I still haven't even finished season 2 because there are things about it I really just don't like. The kid who plays Jason Todd, I think plays Jason Todd as the just absolutely, totally obnoxious jerk that they pretty much made him out to be before Death in the Family. And that's, that plays into things that happen at the end of season 2, which if you know the story of Red Hood, I'm not spoiling season 2 for you folks. You know what's going to happen. Creeper King, I am so excited for season 3. Tell me what you like best about this, Creeper King, and maybe I can key into it to keep me from watching an episode and going, dang, still not there. But while you're thinking about that, if you want to, they do great trailers. The trailers are exciting as hell. The fact that almost everyone is in costume, the fact that they bring Starfire's sister and nemesis, whose name escapes me, Creeper King, you can tell me, I'm sure, into this season, it does an awful lot of things that make it look like it should work really well. Yeah, I don't know. So, and I'm assuming, Greg, you haven't seen any of it.
I have not.
So I'll have to rely on you, Creeper, if you get a comment in there. Scarecrow, and played by Vincent Kartheiser, which that's cool. And it says in here it introduces Barbara Gordon, Commissioner Barbara Gordon. So that was kind of a surprise. I liked that idea with the trailer. So, again, we'll have to see how this plays out. I just say, give me a Hawk and Dove solo series. That's what I want out of this.
I'm sorry. Every time you say that, just because I'm not super familiar with this particular comic arc, all I can think of is the 2 or 3 episodes of Bob's Burgers with Hawk and Chick.
No, not even the comics, but certainly not. I was a huge fan when they introduced Hawk and Dove in the comics, and I just realized a few years ago that that was actually Rob Liefeld's first work. I still love the characters, so. So season 3. Oh, we also have a date too. Season 3, August 12th. So coming right up in a couple of weeks, folks. HBO Max, of course. I'll give it a try. Again,
I had to do a quick look here. I didn't realize this was this old. Hawk and Dove came out in 1968.
Yep.
Steve Ditko. It's going back to the real Silver Age.
Wow. I didn't know that it was that odd or that old. I remember it from the 70s, and I guess that's when DC must have brought them back with Liefeld doing his first work.
Could be.
Anyway, moving on to our next topic. So we're going to do this without any spoilers because Greg has not seen Loki,
I
and
can take my headphones off for 30 seconds.
no. This can be done without any spoilers. Creeper King, I'm excited for any of Red Hood's story in any piece of live action cinematography. I'll get to that. I will. I'm very excited to see because they got Jason Todd right as a Robin. And if you put that kind of hyper violent asshole under the hood, you've got Red Hood. I think they're going to just nail it. Whether or not that's going to be enough to keep me watching the whole thing, I don't know. So this is, of course, from one of the many trailers for Loki. Picture of course, Loki and Mobius. Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson is, if you don't like Loki, Owen Wilson is the reason to watch this show. If you don't like Loki, I don't understand you. But if you don't like Loki, Owen Wilson is just amazing in this. The news is, and this is no surprise, this has been out there. There's enough news stories that this is, a thing that there will be a season 2. And the executive producer and director of every episode of season 1, Kate Herron, is not coming back. This is the direct quote in an interview with Deadline. I'm not returning. I always planned to be just on for this, and to be honest, season 2 wasn't in the... That's something that just came out, and I'm so excited. That's somebody who got blindsided by the fact that there was even a season 2, was not told there was going to be one, so it was pretty clear was no intention that this person was going to be the director or the runner of season 2 in any way, shape, or form. She goes on to say, I'm really happy to watch it as a fan next season, but I just think I'm proud of what we did here, and I've given it my all. I'm working on some other stuff yet to be announced. Will she be involved in anything else with Marvel? No, I'm just focused on my own stuff at the moment. I love Marvel, and I'd love to work with them again, but my outing with Loki is what I've done with them. Something happened back there, folks. That's the kind of subtext statement, that says everything. She got completely blindsided by this announcement that there would even be a season 2, and clearly was not invited to be part of it.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. And you've got to assume that an awful lot of her work, her vision, is what made this as a lot of people have said, the sort of David Fincher-like looking piece of work that it is. And if that's the case, why would they not want this person back? I don't get it. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm reading subtext that doesn't exist. But that's literally somebody who, stopped herself short of saying, no, they just pulled the rug out from under me. And you can read it in literally her words without even hearing it. But who knows? So I think it's a shame. And Greg, when you get around to watching this, I think you're going to agree. Yep. This is really...
Yeah, I mean, I've seen enough trailers, I've seen enough memes, I've seen enough reactions that, I mean, no plot points have been spoiled, fortunately, except for the alligator. But, I don't know if that's actually an integral plot point or just a cool visual. Whatever. Anyway. But the look of this is far more cinematic than, Fincher-esque is a good way to put it. It does have that kind of tight shot, tension amping, for want of a better way to put that Fincher does really well. The muted smoky grays and blues are fairly common these days, but still, yeah, I mean, if I don't know how much of that she's, how much of the look and feel is her. Um, she do you know offhand how much she wrote? Was
She
she
was
behind?
executive producer and director, so I'm
Okay,
not sure that she
okay,
wrote any of it.
okay.
Um,
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether this is a case of, someone's laid down the template and then they just get a workman-like director or a series of directors for the second season, and they're given this template, this style, this look and feel, and they have to, to write to and direct to that.
yeah, I mean that could be. It that doesn't seem to be so far Marvel's way of doing things. Marvel is rewarding the people behind WandaVision with all kinds of work. Loki is as big a hit. Um, I don't get it. And I don't know if it'll ever come out. And if it does, it might be internal, relationship or internal politics, or it's probably something that is completely meaningless to any of us. But it's just one of those things where why would you not have somebody who did something so successful continue to do that?
I don't know. It's, this is inside baseball type stuff. Chances are good. We'll get a lot of seemingly well-intentioned but very anodyne, carefully wordsmithed dribs and drabs, and we'll probably never know what the real thing is.
Yeah. I mean, if you just read that, piece, once she catches herself and stops herself from saying basically I was blindsided, it is on message. It is, the rest of her statement is 100% Marvel's great. Thank you for letting me do this.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So, hopefully Loki season 2 will happen sooner rather than later. But the implications of that last episode, there might be an awful lot of things that have to happen between this and the next season. So elsewhere, shall we say? But let's stop talking about that and move on to our last topic. Our last topic is, if you can't tell by Greg's background, we've got a teaser, and I mean a teaser. It's short.
It's like a minute.
It's 42 or 3 seconds. For the season 3 of the series What We Do in the Shadows, and it's hilarious. I apologize for giving away the central joke with the image that's up on the screen, but how they play that joke out is even better than just, seeing the VR rig on his head. It looks as they haven't missed a beat. It looks as funny as everything they've done up to this point. And it contains the date, right?
September.
Early September, right?
Yeah, like Labor Day-ish.
2nd, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's FX series, so day plus 1 date on Hulu. So it's the next day on Hulu.
I'm glad to see Guillermo in the background there. I mean, you knew he would be coming back in some way, but without spoiling anything, the end of season 2, there might have been a little tension, a little conflict between Guillermo and the vampires. Anybody who's watched the Nerd Week Live knows I'm a huge fan. Gogo couldn't be here tonight, or I'm sure this would be a much longer, much giddier segment because she's also a huge fan. Very much looking forward to it. There's not a lot of shows these days I think of as appointment television. That for me is one of them.
Yeah, I think we should probably just start a Greg on Taika Waititi weekly show. Sorry.
Okay. Sure. Let's, we got 3 nights of the week filled out. Where's number 4? I guess we'll alternate it between Taika Waititi and Dune if and when that ever.
There you go.
More trailers come out, etc.
And just to round that out, if you haven't seen them, folks, the character posters for Dune were dropped. And they're all pretty much just close-ups of the images you've already seen. You get a better look at Brolin's gurney Halleck scars. That's cool.
Yep.
You get a much closer look of Duke Daddy. I mean Oscar Isaac.
Duke Daddy.
But the one big surprise, folks, go check it out, is you get a really good look at Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron in makeup and with some accessories, artifacts, and so on, and it's pretty creepy.
Yeah. It was for a split second, it kind of reminded me of Christian Bale when he did Churchill. That same sort of like taking a fairly athletic, trim guy and putting this incredible prosthesis and makeup and all sorts of. He's got a lot of, I don't know whether they're rings or whatever, finger accoutrement.
I thought you were gonna say when he did Dick Cheney, because I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
No, wait a second. I'm sorry. Christian Bale did Dick Cheney.
Oh, he also
Gary Oldman did. Gary Oldman did Churchill.
Yeah.
Anyway, that same sort of trim, athletic, compact form bulked out to be. I mean, for anybody who's seen the David Lynch movie or even the TV adaptation, or certainly if you've read the books, Baron von Harkonnen is not a let's be generous and say he's not the sexiest character.
He requires suspensor globes to just move around. He's so heavy that he can't walk on his own. Well, he kind of can. He prefers not to.
Was he on the ship in WALL-E?
Kind of. Ultimately, WALL-E is what, a few hundred years in the future, and then you go 10,000 and you get Baron.
Sure, there you go. That's what happens if you do nothing but sit around in a floating hover chair and drink Mountain Dew.
I hate Mountain Dew, and my chair doesn't hover.
A couple hundred generations of that, and you turn into a Harkonnen.
There you go.
So,
let that be a lesson to you, kids. But getting back to where were we? We're at What We Do in the Shadows. It's looking like they have not missed a beat. It's nice to see that with all of the other irons in the fire that Waititi has, that this another one of his executive producing role babies isn't any worse for the wear. So
yep. I'm gonna guess he's more peripheral this year because he does have a lot of I mean, we didn't even touch upon Reservation Dogs. It's a little outside our normal.
It's because it's way outside.
Touch on it.
I'll let you touch on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only connection is the fact that Taika Waititi wrote and directed it about a bunch of Native American group of Native Americans.
Yeah. I want to make sure that it's very clear he co-wrote it with a Native American author.
Right. Good point. My point just being, he's got a lot of stuff going on. I'm guessing he's probably a little bit less active in this. The TV series has been a little bit more Jermaine Clement as far as kind of the original group of folks being involved. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get another cameo a la The Trial that brought back all of the that brought back the entire original cast from the movie.
And I do know we're getting Mark Hamill's character back.
Yes, that's true. They did mention that.
So
they did mention that. That's a little bit of excitement there.
So if you're not at Dragon Con, or if you're not hunkering down because the Delta variant is destroying your city, or if you are hunkering down and because you can't go to Dragon Con, there you go. Watch this. Although I believe I will be at Fan Expo Boston. So.
Yes, as will I.
Well, it's September 2nd,
I guess that'll be...
which is Friday night, right? Which you can't go anyway. So
So I think that'll be my my Monday night on Hulu. No
there you go.
spoilers, Rodney.
Won't be no spoilers. Trust me. You know how I feel about spoilers. I will, however, spoil the fact that we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/nerdcaliber, folks. If you would go check it out, we'd appreciate it. If you would decide to be one of the patrons, choosing one of our only 2, both very low dollar tiers, we'd appreciate it even more. We don't give you all sorts of great rewards, folks, which, that's there so that you can help us go to cons now that cons are coming back, assuming they come back. Get vaccinated, people. Stop this Delta variant. Jeez. Come on. Stupid can you be? Anyway. So, yes, if you want to check it out, please do. We'd love to have you at least take a look at it. And that's pretty much our show. So, Thursday, we have coming up in our full fat spoiler chat. Guess what? We've already talked about him. It's the man, the myth, the legend, Loki. And Greg, you're not signed up for that, so you don't have to watch it by then. So, although Byron may not be able to make it, so if you want to, put your name in as a fill-in, and start watching real fast.
I assume I'd have to binge the crap out of it.
Yeah, it's only 6 episodes, and they're not quite. They're like 45 minutes long. So
okay.
You don't have
to go with improbable.
Improbable. There we go.
Knowing what my tomorrow looks like.
So, and then this coming Monday, Anime Octane. We haven't pinned down our topic. There's a bunch of things we're juggling. The new summer season just started, so we're deciding whether or not we want to preview some of our things that are very interesting, or go back and highlight some of the things that we might have missed from the spring season, or something else. So, but we'll let you know once that's up there. And then, of course, next Tuesday, this show. Greg, if you would, give us a goodbye.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching again on replay on YouTube down the road. I am Greg Snyder, associate producer here at Nerd Caliber. And what have I got coming up? I'm just going to go with the associate from now on. That's just going to be my new official title. Associate editor. I literally don't know why I always get those two words flipped, but your little pretty much told me everything I needed to know. I've got a bunch of photography projects coming up over the next few weeks. If you're interested, check out redravenstudios.art. That is our photo studio just outside of Boston. We do a lot of funky, interesting, creative photography in the cosplay world, in horror world, and with Halloween coming up. I realize it's 4 months away, but it feels like it's right around the corner.
That's coming up.
I think we're already building sets, building props. We got a lot of stuff lined up for that. So if you're interested, we're always open to talk about fun ideas. Give us a shout.
Cool. Check it out, folks. Awesome work. And thank you, everybody who was in the chat. Good night, all of you, and Luminous for saying it to us. Right back at you. Good night. We will see you in an upcoming show. Stay safe, please. And again, once again, please get your shot. I don't want to have to go back into lockdown. And I am maintaining my position that I will be wearing a mask at any large event. And I'd like those large events to go on. Which may not happen now. But anyway, please stay safe, folks, and we'll see you.